It's a really good day for anyone who doesn't hate women, because today, after months of you pushing for it, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter have all banned Andrew Tate.
And with that, thank you for joining me for Conversations with Taz on Freeform Fridays. Now, the Freeform Fridays is, we don't have any rules like we have rules for the rest of the week, but we're going to go with this, okay? Let's start with this, because there's an Indigenous woman who has been owed an apology from 3 seconds, actually 1 second, after what happened to her at the Academy Awards. But I know a bunch of you don't know that that happened, because I realize there's certain of us who have parents that will orally pass down history, and there are other parents that don't, because they have a lot to hide. So let me bring to you this oral history.
As you may have heard, the Academy announced that they are going to be releasing a formal apology to Sacheen Littlefeather for what happened at the 1973 Oscars. This is exactly what happened that night. On March 27, 1973, Marlon Brando was nominated for Best Actor for his performance in The Godfather, which is widely considered as one of the greatest film performances of all time. Before the ceremony, Brando decided that if he did win, he would boycott and reject the award as a protest against the ongoing siege at Wounded Knee and how poorly Native Americans were treated in the film industry. Brando initially gave Littlefeather a 739-word speech. However, producer Howard H. Koch said that if her speech was more than 60 seconds long, then she would be arrested and removed from stage. Once Marlon Brando's name was announced, Sacheen Littlefeather went on stage and gave her speech. In the background, you can hear a mix of boos and cheering.
And the reasons for this being are the treatment of American Indians today by the film industry. Excuse me.
John Wayne, a notorious white supremacist, had to be restrained by 6 security guards to prevent him from forcing Littlefeather off stage. Sacheen Littlefeather was essentially blacklisted from Hollywood, and the audience's reaction still remains one of the most embarrassing moments in Oscar history.
But there are people who try to tell us that racism isn't a thing, that if we stop talking about it, it will go away. Your hero, white people, your hero, your cinematic hero, was willing to, if he was not restrained, to physically assault a woman. He was willing to commit domestic violence on air, on camera, to perpetuate his racism. You all uphold the wrong people each and every time. And when we try to tell you who your heroes should be, you don't listen to us. Now, I'm glad that they're finally issuing an apology. It is not my apology to accept. I personally feel it's too little too late. I feel like it's a faux apology, but like I said, it is not my apology to accept. So if she accepts the apology, I will roll with that. But my respect will always lie with Marlon Brando. You know, I have an offer you can't refuse. He had anti-racism you can't refuse. and y'all still attempted to refuse it. A white man said, "Fuck your shit. Let's make this the ultimate political statement at an awards ceremony." And the majority of people who are backing Trump right now were alive to watch that, to know what happened. Because all the clips that are coming out, they're downplaying what your Western hero did. I'm old enough to remember the original broadcast. There's a reason why armed guards surrounded her. But be proud, I guess. Be proud. Let's go to the next clip.
Darling Nikki by Prince and Revolution triggered a campaign of music censorship. The story behind this song is crazy.
Ada Marshall ruins your favorite songs.
In 1985, Tipper Gore overheard her 11-year-old daughter listening to the Purple Rain album, specifically the song Darling Nikki caught her attention. Something tells me it was this lyric that made Tipper go from seeing purple to seeing red.
You a girl named Nikki, I guess you could say she was a sex fiend. I met her in a hotel lobby, masturbating with magazines.
Tipper was outraged. She wanted to put a stop to lyrics she didn't like. So she created the PMRC. She did this to fight against songs with offensive lyrics. We can't have offensive lyrics. She created a list that she called the Filthy 15. There were 3 songs on that list that Prince wrote. The number 1 song, Darling Nikki. It's kind of backfired against Tipper as the biggest stars in music came out against her movement of censorship. No laws were passed, not much happened. However, Prince voluntarily put a parental advisory sticker on his albums moving forward, which then became the industry standard for albums containing what could be considered offensive language. The final track on the Purple Rain album, Darling Nikki, ironically ends with a backwards message about God. Prince and the Revolution's Purple Rain album went on to sell over 25 million albums worldwide, making it one of the biggest selling albums of all time. In 2001, when Prince officially became a Jehovah's Witness, he started censoring himself and no longer put graphic language in any of his music. Don't even try to argue any of these Prince facts with me in the comments. You don't know like I do.
I don't doubt he's rich.
Yeah, I know.
But I was on his Instagram recently.
Yeah, what happened?
I took a look. I saw a video of him and he was explaining how in his bedroom, in his closet, he's allowed to have like all these guns like beside his closet. He said himself, the fact that he has it in his house, he said he registered his house as a gun range. That's the reason he can have them, right? Okay, sure. Check this out. So I zoomed in, fam. I zoomed in. So that's his closet. That's where he keeps the straps, right? And then you look at it, right? Like if you're a regular person, you see those guns, like damn, this guy's a boss. Like this guy has guns, right? Look at the very top one right here. See that one? It kind of has like a cool design on the side.
Yeah, like a flower.
Now check this out. Not a lot of people would have bagged this because they're not in the culture like that. But I play airsoft, right?
Yeah,
fam. The only gun that has that and that exact hex design is an airsoft gun. Literally this airsoft gun.
Wow.
Oh, dead ass. Like that's literally an airsoft gun. And then that's a Glock 18C.
Yeah.
Glock 18C, they're usually banned everywhere because it's automatic. Like you can't really have those.
Okay, so how'd he get that?
It's probably an airsoft gun.
It's probably.
So I don't know, fam. I don't know. The way it's looking here, this whole collection might be airsoft.
Damn.
I keep telling y'all, everything is not what it seems. People especially with social media. They will make their lives out to be something that it's not. And trust and believe, when somebody is like, oh, I'm living the glamorous life, and then all of a sudden their Cash App shows up in their profile, or there's a series of GoFundMe's, be leery, be weary. But y'all don't want to listen to me.
Am I the asshole for punishing my son after he said something racist? About a week ago, my 39F family ordered Chinese food for delivery. When the delivery driver came to the door, my daughter 16F was taking the cat upstairs to put in her room because he always tries to eat the food. My son 13M loudly says, "Make sure to hide the cat from the Chinese guy." As I am at the door getting the food from the Chinese delivery driver, he very obviously heard what my son said and was upset by it. I quickly apologized and took the food. I told my son that racist jokes were completely unacceptable and very wrong, and he refused to admit that he was in the wrong. So, later that night I forced my son to write a sincere apology to the delivery driver. His name was on the receipt, as well as write a one-page paper on Chinese culture and a one-page paper on why racism is perpetuated by racist jokes and stereotypes. Then the next day I took him to the restaurant and had him read his apology aloud to the delivery driver as well as give him the papers he wrote. Am I the asshole for punishing my son after he said something racist? The driver was very appreciative of the apology and thanked me for making my son do it. He then told my son about multiple instances where he had faced racist comments and attacks from people while he was a delivery driver. That night, my husband 43M and I got into an argument about me making our son do this. He told me that it was embarrassing for our son to have to do the apology and that the punishment didn't fit the crime. I told him that it was much more embarrassing for the driver to have to face that kind of racism and racist stereotypes and that our son would get over the embarrassment. I do not condone any kind of hateful thinking in my house, and the fact that my son said that embarrassed me as well. My husband told me that it was just a joke and it wasn't that big of a deal. I feel like I might have overreacted some, but I think it's important to help my son understand how what he said was wrong and hurtful.
Dear heart, your husband and your son are full of shit. Your husband is perpetuating racial tropes onto his son and making it seem like it is the social norm. That's why your husband said that, oh, it's not that big of a deal. The punishment didn't fit the crime. You embarrassed our son. Sounds just like what's going on in Texas and Florida right now. They don't want little white kids to feel uncomfortable about racism, but they're okay with black, brown, and indigenous children and everyone in between feeling the brunt of racism. They don't want little white kids to feel uncomfortable. So they let racism run rampant because to them, that is the comfort blanket of white children. See, that's what y'all keep missing in these arguments. The fact that they know that their children are comfortable in racism because that's what they get at home. They want their children to continue to be comfortable in the racism and being able to tout the racism because they know that their children cannot compete or meet us where we stand. So they need to, in their mind, shit talk. But they know underneath the cloak of the excuse of shit talking, locker room talking, all that bullshit that they feed to us, that they need to psychologically move these kids out of their greatness And we watched it time and time again how somebody can be goaded out of displaying their greatness. And just like, and if you think that I'm reaching, the states that are like, hey, we can talk about, transgender girls in sports. They never talk about transgender boys in sports. And there's not a feather ruffled regarding that. But coming from the dailybeast.com, Utah investigated a schoolgirl's gender at the request of sore loser parents. Yeah, you heard that right. When a girl left her competitors in the dust at a state level school sports competition in Utah last year, not everyone was impressed with her inspiring athleticism. The parents of girls who came in second and third couldn't accept the winner had simply outclassed their daughters, so they called her gender into question, sparking a secret investigation that delved into the winner's personal history. At a meeting of Utah legislators' education interim committee on Wednesday, a school sports official recounted the grim probe and added that it wasn't an isolated incident. David Spatafor, my apologies if I got the name wrong, the Utah High School Activities Association, UHSAA, legislative representative told the committee that his organization had received multiple complaints in which parents claim that female athletes doesn't look feminine enough. The racial tropes write themselves. The genetic tropes write themselves. See, they put these things into the books, not only because they are transphobic, but they want to perpetuate the racial tropes that they already have in place when their sons and daughters, especially their daughters, don't add up, because they want their privilege to be enough for that participation trophy. And when they can't get the top ranking participation trophy, they are pissed the fuck off. We have warned y'all time and time again. And like I said last night, where are the ancestors of the witches that couldn't be born? Where are the bring the lions out bitches? Where are the let's indoctrinate the MMIW? Where are the let's cosplay indigenous people globally? Oh, that's right. Like I said before, you sprint, then you get and can't do anymore. You're still waiting for the labor of those of us that are not primarily affected. And I know you're going to use recent stories to go, well, times there was a black woman, her child didn't have a head. Shouldn't you be in the fight? No. No, I shouldn't be. Because think about if that child was completely healthy and never made the news. I know what that mother would have gone through, whether dating or married to the father of her child, whether he was present or non-present. I know what she would be hit with every time she left the house with that child alone and that man not being present. I know, regardless of their financial situation, the lack of support from the government they would have because that child was born. But the government has wide-sweepingly said we are supposed to ensure that babies are born, right? But after the babies are born, what did they tell you they were doing with them? What did they tell you they were going to support you with? Oh, wait. I got nothing but time. Well, let's go to this next one.
Drove her car through here, hit that flower pot, and she made it all the way to here, dude. There's no way, dude. South Shore Plaza, baby. I cannot believe
it. And they identified this woman as elderly. Let me say something that's more than likely an unpopular opinion. Stop acting as if the elderly are stupid, as if they are truly feeble-minded, like they are now children. We cannot have a society that tells you, oh, wait till you get older, when you get as wise as me. And we look at people over the age of 60 as not being able to take care of themselves and easily deceived. And these people use it to their advantage. There are times that they set themselves up to be taken advantage of so that they can have GoFundMes. They can have crowdfunding that gives them way more than they decided to take the initiative when they're part of a generation where it was easier to save and have a nest egg. But they decided to willy-nilly that nest egg away. And I'm tired of it. So you're going to tell me this woman went into a parking garage. Instead of parking her car, she decided to drive through a mall. And y'all going to act like she was just so feeble-minded that there are other videos with other views of the car. There's no dents, no scratches, no nothing on that car. That woman, excuse me, maneuvered it like a professional. Stop thinking Mima and Papa are feeble brain. Don't. Mima and Papa are screwing you over. Mima and Papa are doing stuff on purpose because they're banking on you being stupid and apologetic. Because y'all use somebody having grandkids as an excuse for them. Oh, baby, I don't know how this works. I got them too. I'm 45. Would you have the same amount of sympathy and excuses, most importantly, excuses, if my black ass did that shit? First of all, we know my black ass wouldn't have got through the first flower pot before they would have been shooting into my goddamn car. Well, let's go on.
Two former Pennsylvania judges who orchestrated a scheme to send children to for-profit jails in exchange for kickbacks were ordered to pay more than $200 million to hundreds of victims. Mark Civarella ordered children as young as 8 to detention. Many of them were first-time offenders convicted of petty theft and other minor crimes. The judge often ordered youths he had found legally delinquent to be immediately taken away without giving them a chance to say goodbye to their families. This way Mark Civarella and Michael Conahan accepted $2.8 million in illegal payments. U.S. District Judge Christopher Connor awarded $106 million in compensatory damages and $100 million in punitive damages to nearly 300 people in a long-running civil suit.
I love how the photos that they went past to garner your sympathy were only the white children. Let's talk about all of the non-white children that they pushed through the system. Let's talk about all of the non-white children that they hurriedly and more disproportionately pushed through the system. Wait a minute, I forgot. We're still not ready for that conversation. Yeah. Let's go on to Bobert and January 6th once again. Here we go.
So I came across this thread from January 10th, 2021 regarding Lauren Boebert and her involvement with January 6th. Let's have a little refresher, shall we? Boebert has always been vocal about her affiliations. The 3% Patriots of Colorado joined her in Pueblo to protect her like some militia security detail. It said, and I quote, "I'm asking y'all to wave your flags and show your love for our country." She eventually got an audience with President Trump. After she met with Trump, she posted about how she was looking forward to January 6th. On January 1st, she started some countdown, rallying support, sending love and declaring blessings to all on this first day of 2021. The first 6 days of this year will include a new Congress, the most decisive Senate special election in years, and possibly the most important day in our nation's history, January 6th, 2021. Happy New Year! On January 2nd, she said great words with President Trump tonight. Get ready, y'all! On January 5th, she tweeted that the next 48 hours are going to be among the most important in American history. What I especially loved about this one was her mugshot below. And the comment says, "Oh, do you have a meeting with your parole officer?" On January 6th, she posted, "Today is 1776. Many did not know she was referring to the QAnon Revolution 1776, Operation Occupy the Capitol, taking back our country from corrupt politicians. All 50 states, 12 p.m. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who prevent the Constitution. Abraham Lincoln." The irony of the fact that they're quoting Abraham Lincoln is hilarious. On the 6th, she was in the House chambers and communicated with patriots as the day progressed. Badass patriot, keep the patriots up to date. All live streams have been cut off. As the coup began, Boebert posted that she was located in the chambers, but that Pelosi had been removed. Right here, she tweets, "The speaker has been removed from the chambers." I wonder, was she talking to someone directly, or was it just like a common announcement so that people would know to go look for her elsewhere? Trump had eyes and ears in the Senate, so it seems likely that Boebert was doing that from the House chambers. Then this bitch had the audacity to thank the Capitol Hill police for their tireless service. Bitch, it's partially your fault. Enough of the speculation that this girl might be a little wacky. She is a full-fledged traitor and is a valuable asset to Trump's violent and lawless agenda.
And they seem to forget that we got a chance to watch this all play out in real time in 4K. On national television, online, etc. And what I think is funny is that Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert keep trying to differentiate each other from each other, but keep spewing the exact same bullshit. But also today, the Trump affidavit came out. Let's take a look.
You guys. Hold on, let me pause the anime. Hold on. So the affidavit wasn't released, but the ancillary documents were. Basis for the search, evidence of a crime. contraband, fruits of a crime, or other items illegally possessed. Criminal charges. Oh, I love this for him! Anyways, have a good night. Bye. I'll see you tonight, remember. Fundraiser again.
So tell me again, Trumplicans. And you keep saying that Trump has to be innocent. He's saying he's going to release the security footage of the FBI. He's not doing it in order to prove his innocence. He's doing it because he knows you sycophants will go after the people whose faces you see removing the documents he should have never had. Oh, think I'm joking? We're not even going all the way over to the right side to the Trumplicans. Here's 2 videos regarding the GOP and their racism and their just idiocracy. Here we go. See you in 2 and 2.
Hey there, we are going to have good news only tonight, but first, take a look at this. Last night, the Lawrence County, Alabama Republican Party posted this to their Facebook. Nothing really wrong with the copy, but look at the image. Do you see it? Do you see it now? There have since been calls for the chairman of the Lawrence County Republican Party to step down. The chairman says they're not going to step down, but rather will offer a deep and sincere apology for the mistake, saying that they searched a picture of a GOP elephant and this is what they came up with. They didn't realize that the image had hidden images in it, and those do not reflect the views or beliefs of Lawrence County Republican Party. The image is known as the Hate Elephant and was created in 2020 by Woody Harrington.
The Lawrence County Republican Party posted a photo of a GOP elephant containing Ku Klux Klan imagery.
Do you want to know how I know that this wasn't an accident? Because it came from an interview in 2020 where a former GOP strategist, the dude that gets your politicians elected, was like, damn, I gotta quit this party because they're fucking racist. And it was related to when Trump went to have his Juneteenth rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and then Gen Z punked him and he's like, oh, actually, my black friends wanted me to move it, so I did. It's funny, but not funny haha. More funny pitiful. Like, you want to know the reason why you can't put conservative on your Tinder profile or why your friend circle's getting smaller? Because every time the party tells you who they really are, and every single time you're like, but what about Hillary's emails? And oh yeah, like, Republicans freed the slaves, and like you keep repeating the same talking points over and over, whether you're black or gay or a minority or poor. Every single time, they tell you who they really are, and you're just like, And you want to know the cherry on top? When I was looking for more information, the video right after the one I just showed you was of a white cop putting a KKK sign on a black cop's desk. Not every conservative is a racist or a child trafficker or anti-LGBTQ, but for whatever reason, you're ignoring the people that are in your party.
What did you expect me to say? I've been telling y'all this. But coming from CBS Minnesota, also GOP news, judge blocks Florida woke law citing First Amendment. A Florida judge on Thursday declared a Florida law championed by Republican Governor Ron DeSantis that restricts race-based conversation and analysis in business and education unconstitutional. Tallahassee U.S. District Judge Mark Walker said in a 44-page ruling that the Stop Woke Act violates the First Amendment and is impermissibly vague. Walker also refused to issue a stay that would keep the law in effect during any appeal by the state. The law targets what DeSantis called a pernicious ideology exemplified by critical race theory, the idea that racism is systemic in the United States institutions that serve to perpetuate white dominance in society. Isn't it ironic that a white man is able to put this forward, but says that systemic racism doesn't exist, but he was able to... Never mind. Walker said the law has, as applied to diversity, inclusion, and bias training in businesses, turns the First Amendment upside down because the state is barring speech by prohibiting discussion of certain concepts in training programs. If Florida truly believes we live in a post-racial society, then let it make its case, the judge wrote, but it cannot win the argument by muzzling its opponents. Do y'all get it now? Do y'all get it now? That all this anti-CRT is basically saying, we know we fucked up. We know we whitewashed history. We know that we let the daughters of the Confederacy and now the mothers of liberty come through and fuck up our educational system and keep people ignorant of true history. So we're going to put forth legislation to keep people in an ignorant bubble shell. Do you get it now? Do you get it? And along with that, you know how I keep telling y'all to go and get DNA tests, especially if you have white relatives, because white relatives will lie to you to protect themselves or to give themselves a certain image, because white people love having the tag of white saviorism. Coming from theinsider.com, I thought I was biracial my entire life. At 43, a DNA test revealed I'm white with Jewish ancestry. And remember, a while back, we talked about Jason Momoa. I've always been fascinated by genealogy, but I didn't compose our family tree until I was married with a kid in my late 20s. I researched it in the old-fashioned way, sorting through documents and public records. I already knew my mom's ancestors were mostly European. My dad, Kenny, who was African American, descended from slaves who'd been sold in Texas in 1800s. How much you want to bet that's her stepdaddy? It made sense for me to do an at-home DNA test at the age of 43. I received results in January 2018. To my shock, the pie chart showed that 50% of my DNA was Ashkenazi Jewish. My apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly. It also showed I had 0 African DNA. I've been telling y'all since I've been able to speak that a lot of y'all are being raised by stepdaddies, and you're allowing white supremacist tropes to say that black men don't take care of families and that black men are just making baby mamas and leaving them on the wayside all the time. There are a lot of black men that are taking care of white babies that aren't theirs. But they love the mama and have bonded with the baby so much that they don't give a damn. And to save face, these white women are telling their children, oh, baby, you biracial. And that's why you see so much discord right now in 2022 on all of the social media platforms. And you see people that have 0 phenotypes of black people going, oh, I'm mixed, I'm da-da-da-da-da. And people are like, well, we can't argue with them. No, we can't argue with them, but we can tell them to go and get a genetic test. Because a lot of times it's their stepdaddy that's raising them, and they don't know it's their stepdaddy. But let's keep going. At first, I thought my test had gotten mixed up with someone else's and that there'd been a mistake. Excuse me. I called my friend and said, what does this mean? She said, I think you know what it means. She went on, it means that the man who you think is your father isn't your father. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. Excuse me. Now you understand about children who went through adoption that have been lied to from birth. Trust me, I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. We can get into that on a later date. People had always told me I had relatively light skin. They'd say I'd taken after my mom, but I'd met other people of color who were as light as me. My dad had 3 other children with white women. I thought their skin tones weren't that dissimilar to mine. Yeah, you were forcing that, baby. I told my mom, Joey, about the test results. My mom was stunned, but to her credit, she said, DNA doesn't lie. It must be true. Baby, your mom knew the whole time. She knew when she was pregnant. She knew when she got with your daddy. My mom had a one night stand with an older Jewish man. This is sounding very much like the LeBron James origin story. As a woman who has been pregnant multiple times, you know. You know. You just know that you found a good man. And from experience with black men close to me, black men related to me, and this is why I tell black men, stop saying, "Oh, I'm not gonna have another child out of wedlock. I don't want to have a child, and I'm not married to." These women will trap you, and they already know they got a baby in the womb when they put it on you, and you slip a ring on their finger when they fuck you. And 2 weeks later, because very rarely do y'all men understand gestational periods or anything else, that they're pregnant, and then you're like, "Oh shit, this is my baby. I gotta take care of it." If I'm lying, I'm flying. Tell me I'm lying. My mom married Kenny on Valentine's Day in 1973. He was 24 and she was 18. Kenny had recently gone into, oh, I'm sorry. My mom married Kenny on Valentine's Day 1973. He was 24 and she was 18. Kenny had recently gone into rehab for heroin addiction, but he relapsed 2 months into their marriage, so they broke up. First of all, there's some grooming going into this, and a black man in the 70s. Never mind. This is what a lot of families have had to face a lot of uncomfortable truths since 23andMe and Ancestry.com and a plethora of other DNA outlets have come to fruition. Y'all being lied to. Oh, and side note, before we go into this next video, when I told y'all that y'all were being grifted by every member of the GOP, this is why they're going after the micro donors, the small donation donors, because they know they can't get the big donors after they overturned Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade was intended to be just a talking point to the end of time, not for you to actually affect people who needed it the most, who required it the most, who wanted it the most. But y'all who keep saying, you non-Democrats that are like, Liz Cheney is my hero. For what? For a few sound bites that she's had since the January 6th hearing? Take a look at this.
Do you believe that America is better off with President Biden than President Trump?
I believe that President Trump's policies, which I supported 93% of the time, were much better for America. Now, that isn't the issue, though. The issue is whether or not we abide by the rule of law.
Did you vote for Joe Biden?
I did not. And I would not vote for a Democrat ever.
93%. 93% of the time she voted with Trump. So can we stop this hero bullshit, please? For her simply just doing the right thing? Cool, thanks.
So, y'all still think that she's your master? She's your savior? because she caught Trump in a few lies.
She's your savior.
Because she caught Trump in a few lies.
She's your savior.
Because she Y'all gotta stop being so willing to go, oh, I like her because of this. Go to Blogspot. Go to Camp Taz. Look at the blogs that I've put up. Stop taking certain bullet points and running with it. But let's go to the next one.
Oh boy, Marjorie Taylor Greene just announced that she is going to introduce legislation that criminalizes gender reassignment surgery. This means she is going to make it illegal for people to change their gender because that is what the MAGA party stands for. They don't want you to have any freedom. So guys, get out and vote.
And you know what's so sick about it? She's calling it the Protect Our Children Act. That's what she's calling it. Let's go to the next one.
Oh boy, Matt Gaetz just announced his support for Marjorie Taylor Greene's bill called the, quote, Protect Our Children's Innocence Act. First of all, this bill is nothing like the title suggests. This is a bill that will criminalize and arrest doctors who perform gender reassignment surgery on their patients. And secondly, Matt Gaetz supporting a Protect Our Children's Innocence Act? Oh, the hypocrisy.
So I know I rag on a lot of bad cops, but I don't know, just hold on. Watch this video of an Alabama police officer going to check on his mailbox because some random white dude ran it over with his Jeep, right? So just watch. So after running over this off-duty cop's mailbox, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go for the double whammy and try and hit him too. Like, his cruiser is right in front of his house, by the way. And the driver comes out to go check on the cop like, oh, where'd he go? Where'd he go? He can't find him, and he goes back into his Jeep. So after calling for backup, obviously the cop gets his firearm. The guy activates his privilege powers like, I don't need to comply with any of these orders. I'm just gonna get back in my car. This is where things get crazy. TikTok, don't ban this video. Nobody got hurt. But can I just say two things? One, can I commend the level of restraint that the police officer had for the white driver? And two, like, how do you have the audacity to try and run over a cop? The driver was arrested without incident, obviously.
Ran over the mailbox. Came back to run over the man. Came back to actually run over the man. In none of the comments on the original video that was posted did people need to see, nor did anyone request what happened before. What happened? He's still alive. He's still alive. But if I walked up the street to the corner store or to Subway and a cop decided to accost me and I invoked my rights as a citizen, as a living, breathing human being, there'd be no all lives matter. Should they take my life, there would be a whole lot of people trying to figure out if I had a criminal history. There'd be a whole lot of people asking, well, what happened before you started recording? A whole lot of people. Is that better, cousin? And here's our final video for the evening, and then I have an
As a mental health professional in America, I am pissed. Trigger warning for what you're about to hear.
They told you what at school? That if you're being bullied, what?
You can't go home and tell your parents.
Why?
It could cause the parents to go to the school with weapons, and they'll end up with someone with their life gone, taken away.
So this is what they're telling y'all in middle school.
This is the country we're living in right now, where schools are telling kids to hide the fact that they are being bullied because a parent may come in and cause violence. That will increase the amount of kids taking their own lives, and it fails to identify any students at risk for committing mass acts of violence themselves. And people try to tell me today's kids aren't traumatized.
And here's something that wasn't brought up. The fact that the schools are saying a parent or parents may come to the school to invoke violence. See, in Florida, they want to replace teachers with military personnel. And there are some military personnel, those that cosplay military personnel, mostly people who cosplay military personnel. They're like, oh, we got this. Yeah, Semper Fi, do or die. Yeah, we got this, dude. No, you don't. Because you look at everything as a win or loss. And this is the perfect breeding ground. Because when a parent comes in with complaints, and a parent is going to come in with irrational complaints, the parent is going to be pissed off because their child hasn't been parented to the point that they feel is acceptable, and they think that you as a teacher are supposed to parent their child to what they feel is acceptable. What are you going to do? And then these parents that feel that their child is wronged, and they're going to come in and invoke violence. See, that's the part that everybody is missing, that nobody wants to talk about. Those parents that feel like, oh, their son likes this girl doesn't like them back, and he's harassing her. They will come in and, well, we already told him he's a catch, and she needs to understand he's a catch. And because their son is butthurt, or because their precious princess is butthurt, the parents will become the school shooters. We already saw it with one set. Well, with one school shooter. Where we have confirmation that at least one parent was like, "Oh, don't get caught. I don't see anything wrong with your doing. They wronged you. They should never wrong my son. Just don't get caught in what you do." Excuse me. And coming from BBC Future, I'm good, baby. I'm good. I just needed a moment. Andrew Tate banned from Facebook and Instagram. And after I got this notification, I know that he's also been banned from Twitter and TikTok. The former kickboxer rose to fame in 2016 when he was removed from TV show Big Brother over a video which appeared to depict him attacking a woman. It didn't appear to. He was whooping a woman's ass. Andrew Tate was caught in 4K abusing a woman, and y'all still let it pass. It is 2022, and in 2016, you had concrete evidence and y'all didn't do anything. It wasn't until now that the rest of us are reporting his videos and making a stink that you finally decide to ban him. I am just glad that he is off social media platforms, but that does not take away from his MLM and his university, just like Trump, that he put together. Do not take the pressure off his neck. Do not take the pressure off correcting men who have bought into his bullshit. His rhetoric is dangerous. And as always, each one teach one, each one reach one. If you want to follow up for tonight, there will be a couple. Make sure you check the link in my bio here. You can follow me the rest of the night on TikTok and on Instagram. Y'all be blessed.